Hello, Christian. Could you please give an introduction about yourself?
Of course, I am Chris. I'm from Germany, 20 years old. I'm a freelancing video marketer and I help businesses improve their overall appearance on social media.
Mhm.
I In my free time, I do boxing and train, and next year I'm planning on going into professional boxing.
Hmm. Very solid introduction. Let's begin with video marketer. What kind of niche do you specialize in, or are you more broad in terms of video marketing?
I mainly focus on the sports health niche, which includes gyms or personal trainers and also alternative health that is more natural based.
Mhm.
But that doesn't stop me also from contacting other businesses, but that's just my main focus.
Completely fair. But from my understanding, fitness niche is quite saturated. So how do you go about that?
It is very saturated. It is very hard to find people that are interested in a social media video marketer. And my approach to it, I first of all use mass outreach to increase a bigger volume
Mhm.
because many people decline. And that is also why I focus on alternative niches.
Mhm.
Did that
All right.
explain it wrongly?
Yeah, that makes sense. And then for the clients, how do you actually make the videos perform as well? Because for someone like a coach, that's also a saturated market, like actually being a coach. So are you able to reveal what you actually do to make the videos perform?
What I do is what many people already post on social media still works well, is what I noticed. I focus on especially educational content, but always keeping a certain edge of the trainer hidden, but trying to make it look like that there still is more that they can show them by getting their services.
Hmm. Okay, completely makes sense. And I know that was a bit of a rigorous interrogation, you could call it, to start off with. So let me back off of it. How did you actually find out about the real watch? How did that begin?
It started last year about the mid. I have always been on Instagram, TikTok scrolling, and more videos of Andrew Tate popped up on my social media page because I've always tried to find an alternative to make money because I hated working a normal job, having no impact, and just being a number. And I had also other services that way that never worked. And I really looked into the real world and always was unsure because I had bad experiences before. So I hesitated at first, but at the end of last year, I had a medical problem that made me clear that life is short and that I have to do something to change. And the more I research about the real world, about the students that participated in it and actually succeeded in it by working hard, really wanted me make to join. And that's how I got into the real world.
Mhm. Is it something you'd want to reveal or would prefer not to? What happened a year ago? Like, what was the health condition?
I had a stroke last year.
A stroke?
A stroke, yes.
Oh, wow. How old are you?
20.
Damn. What did the doctor say for having a stroke at that age?
Well, they certainly at first the ambulance said it was just a heavy migraine of the symptoms that I had. But luckily, they still brought me to the hospital, and the doctor there was very competent and took me into the hospital despite it being completely overfilled. And at the end, after a MRT, they confirmed it was a stroke, that I had two small bleedings, so I technically had two small strokes. And the cause was a blood clot, like in the heart, in between the right and left chamber. There sometimes can be a hole, and through there came a blood clot and went right into the brain.
Um, is there any long-term repercussions from that?
As far as I'm aware, I got very lucky away that I currently have nothing that I notice, but it
Cool.
definitely could have went a lot worse.
Yeah. And as you say, that gave you a different perspective on life after having gone through that.
Certainly, especially being in that hospital, seeing the people there who had far worse strokes, that really was a eye-opening experience.
Mhm. Was it something you vowed from that moment then, as in to actually live your life to the fullest or something similar?
Yes, that I really knew at that point I have to change. Like, I cannot go through life normally, and I really wanted to do a big change in my life because
Mhm.
back then I was very skinny, I was weak, and I was only working a normal job. I didn't earn too much. My first steps, of course, were getting into the gym even more, starting boxing at that time as well, and also making sure that I first of all switch a job that gets me more money and then go into the real world to get financially free by being self-standing.
Mhm. Amazing. As in amazing that how much you've done in that 1 year. Here you are now, actually getting interviewed for what you've done.
That is
So
true, yes.
let's continue with that. Did you? What campus did you go into once you joined the real world?
The first campus I joined was the crypto trading campus because it was something that interested me the most at that time. I made a little bit of money, not too much. I think the most I made there was 50 euros or so. But I wasn't grateful about it at first until then I realized, wait a minute, I actually made money by a skill that I learned. And then I focused a whole lot more on it because I admit at the beginning I was slacking because I wasn't
Mhm.
used to it all. Afterwards, I went into the content creation campus because I've always wanted to learn video editing, creating content pretty much out of thin air that engages people. And that is the skill that I used to make the 8,000 euros.
Uh, 8,000 in what time span would that have been from when you actually got your first client?
It was two clients I got that from and was in 2 months through personally meeting these people. They actually are going to the gym I went to.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I got into a talk with them over there, and it went really well, and they were very happy about the things I did for them.
Yeah, super solid. So yeah, just by becoming more active and meeting new people, you got a client from it because of the skill that you learned. So
That is
very
true.
cool. And at times, that's just how the world works.
It is
So then,
indeed.
how are you going about developing your video editing skills?
I definitely want to. I first used only Premiere Pro up until today, and I want to definitely improve into learning After Effects as well. The reason why I didn't went into it immediately is because those two clients I knew they weren't gonna be long-term clients because for them they don't really profit out of social media, but they needed new videos for their website, and that is what I created for them. I created multiple videos for their websites, and that's
Mhm.
how I made it. So I waited a little bit more to get into further programs.
Okay. And did you use them as referrals, or did I'm guessing you landed other clients after them, right? And then, or those two the only clients you've had? Just to clarify.
Those two were the only clients I had so far.
Oh, okay, okay. So, what did you charge? Like, what was the pricing structure for what you done?
They wanted both two longer videos, that is kind of for their front page, for I think each video 1,000 because they I put a lot of work in them. And then they offered services with other clients, and I pretty much created multiple, how do you call it? Multiple testimonial videos for
Mhm.
their website.
Okay. So long form, heavily edited. Was it like 40 minutes plus, or roughly
Yes,
what
it
time?
was 40 minutes
Okay.
plus.
So yeah, in that case, completely makes sense. Heavily edited video that long.
Yeah.
Um, and what's your plan to outreach to more clients or to land more clients?
I had a call yesterday with a potential client that is very interested, and I'm following the same strategy that I went to get them on a call. First of all, improving my email outreach on the AI system, having free value that I already offer in those emails, because I noticed that definitely one big thing that made people decline is not having anything that gives them something already. Many people don't understand the value of video editing and video marketing in general.
Mhm. And how different is your average day now then, with everything you're doing
Could you
compared
repeat that,
to
please?
a year ago? Yeah, yeah. How different is your average day now compared to a year ago before you joined the real one?
It was very blunt. It was just waking up, going to work, going home, playing video games, and repeat. After joining the real world, I still went to work, of course, but I completely cut out video games, social media. I went to the gym, I got fit. I started really focusing more on the world, what's actually going on, like politics as an example. And that is the big things that really changed in my life.
Just interested, why did you choose to actually be updated on politics? How do you see that as beneficial to you?
For me, it is beneficial because it gives me, on the one hand, it gives me motivation, knowing that the world is going in a bad direction, to then focus on getting even better as fast as possible. But it also helps me to understand a little bit more on how the world works, because once I also learn more how money works and how the big players move the money around. So I really noticed the connection between money and politics, how it really influences the entire world. And that's why I'm really interested in it, because I want to know how the big players actually go about it and what they use to make their money.
Okay, makes sense. Then, Since we're talking about future, I think that's a good transition to where do you see your life heading, and what plans do you actually have for future? So let's say short term, medium term, and long term.
Short term, I would say getting more clients, increasing my overall value as a person through training. Once I've established that in the midterm, I want to get into actually getting a team to expand even further. They're getting more and bigger clients. As I mentioned earlier, I want to go into professional boxing. It's gonna be difficult to do both at the same time, but I think once I have a team that will help me a lot chase
Mhm.
that professional boxing career as well. And for the long term, it's very simple for me why I do this because I want to live a free life. Because I, in the future, want to have a family, but I know I can't have a family without being able to financially support whatever comes in the future. And I hope that up till then that I have a big team, that I work for bigger companies that really can profit out of video marketing.
Mhm. Makes sense. Let's go a bit more into boxing. So, how many hours a day do you actually spend on it? And are you planning on increasing that amount once you plan to go pro, or are you already basically rigorously training?
I'm currently only training twice a week, once for 1.5 hours and once for 2 hours because I go to a boxing gym in my area. But I also, yeah, then there's a third day that I do privately on my own. That's currently my training schedule, and I definitely want to plan to increase that once I really get into the professional area because I know elsewise I'm not going to make it.
Mhm. Okay, so I just wanted to confirm. So, I'm guessing for now you just focus on finances. Once you get finances automated, let's call it that, you'll be able to spend more time and dedicate it to boxing, I'd assume, right?
Exactly.
Makes sense. All right, and what do your parents think about everything you've done in the past year?
They don't know all that much about it because I keep it a little bit more in the background because my parents, they don't believe in it. They are more the type of people who, how do I say this the best, who believe in working a normal job in a way. They don't really understand the entire thing, how I can make money with this, which is why I keep it on the back so I don't have a blockage by them. But
Okay.
at the point when I get a better standpoint where I get money regularly into it, I will definitely include them a whole lot more in it.
Makes sense. First, you just prove with your actions that what you're doing is feasible and actually way more beneficial than a traditional job, and then at that point, they'll understand. Because sometimes, yeah, you need
Exactly.
to prove it with your actions instead of with words. That makes sense. Then I think we can wrap up with a final question. So, since this began for you in the real world,
hmm
what advice do you have to people who are unsure about joining because they're thinking for $50 they'll get scammed?
Out of as I mentioned earlier, there's so many programs that offer similar services, but they all cost at least 1,000. And what you get there is just maybe a couple of videos that explain you something. You don't have support, you don't have anyone to work with, you're on your own. You have nobody to ask, unless of course you pay a couple of thousands more. While the real world really for $50, that's like you unsubscribe Netflix, Amazon Prime or something and you can afford it already. It's really amazing what it offers. Just the the people really try to help each other. Doesn't matter in what ranking they are, how much money they've earned. They're all there to help each other, and that's what I really like about the real world.
Amazing. Okay. So yeah, Chris, thank you for coming on and sharing your experience. That was
It
20
was
minutes. Flew by. Uh, Quite amazing to hear the adversity you've overcome in the past year, and that it actually ended well. Like you didn't, as you said, there's no foreseeable long-term repercussions, and instead it just gave you a different perspective on your life, which you've actually used to become who you are now with the goals and achievements you have. So again, amazing to see, and
it was an honor to be
will
here.
be interesting to see how that progresses in future. We can do a follow up maybe in 6 months or even in a year once you actually do go boxing professionally. Um, that could be a cool update, but we'll see. Either way, I wish you all the best, and
Thank you.
until next
You
time.
too. Until next time.